the man behind the ATC projections, the host of the Beat the Shift podcast. You can find his work over on Fangraphs, Rotoballer, and I'm sure I'm probably missing something else. Ariel Cohen, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Appreciate you hopping in. You can follow him on X at ATCNY, and he is perfect for this upcoming draft head-to-head points because he is your defending Tout Wars head-to-head points champion. But that's only because I'm not in the league anymore.
That's right. And Chris is actually in that league, so we'll see him on Sunday.
But Frank won it 2 years. You won it 2 years in a row, right, Frank?
Yeah.
You're like a Tout Wars legend because of that.
I figured I'd give Ariel Cohen a shot here, and so I left the league. That's
well, we've we have won between the two of us 4 out of the last 6 years in Tout Wars. That's pretty good.
Yes, we like that. All right, the draft is up and running, and the first overall pick was Shohei Ohtani. No surprise there. I'm going to go ahead and take my guy. I did not plan this. The draft order was randomized an hour before the draft, so I think I've been picking top 3 in the 2 drafts that we've done so far today. So not on purpose, but I did draft Aaron Judge here. Ariel Cohen is picking 3rd, and Scott is picking at 6. And we will get into the picks in just a second. I do want to remind everybody of the format here. This is the standard 12-team head-to-head points on ESPN, scoring a little bit different than CBS. It's 1 point for each of a run scored, total base, RBI, walk, and steal, -1 for a hit or strikeout. So on CBS, 2 points for a steal, -0.5 point for a strikeout. Here on ESPN, only 1 point for a steal, minus a full point for a hit or strikeout. On the pitching side, it's 3 points per inning pitched, 1 for a strikeout, 2 for a win, 5 for a save, 2 for a hold, -1 for a hit or walk allowed, -2 for an earned run and loss. So a little bit different there.
You're underselling it. That's not a little bit different. That is way different.
It's a lot.
It really narrows the usable player pool on both sides, I would say, hitters and pitchers. But I think especially hitters, because you get -1 per strikeout as opposed to -0.5, like we're used to. And you get just 1 point per steal as opposed to 2 points per steal, like we're used to. So that takes all the high strikeout guys, all the premium base stealers who don't provide a lot of power. That takes them all off the board, basically.
Yeah.
And we got 12 teams in here, right? It's only a 19 round draft, but still, I was picking 6th. I just took Jose Ramirez, who thankfully doesn't strike out much, but it's going to be very different. And I especially feel urgency to feel those hitter spots, but the pitcher side too, because it kind of makes the head-to-head points value for a pitcher and the roto value a little more even, because you really need premium bat missers, with strikeout being worth a point each and not many points available for wins, just 2 points for wins, no points for quality starts or anything like that. So you have to get actual dominant pitchers, and you have a narrow pool of usable hitters.
Want to remind everybody of some other rules here. Again, these are daily lineups. That is the standard format on ESPN, and their lineups, it's one of each infield position, including catcher, 3 outfielders, 1 utility bat, and then 7 pitcher spots. You can divide those up however you like. It could be 7 relievers. It could be 7 starters. It could be 5 and 2, 4 and 3, however you want to divide that up, and then 3 bench spots. This is a 19-round draft, 16 starting spots. And again, like I just said, 3 spots on the bench. Ariel Cohen, you wound up with Juan Soto at pick number 3. Was that a homer pick?
It was not a homer pick. I have him as the 3rd best guy over there, Ohtani, Judge, Soto, in that order. I do want to point out, though, that the Paul Skeens pick is a really good pick by Barton over there, because remember, there's very few points for wins. So Skeens is now a premium pitcher. I had him as almost 6th overall, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, catching people up here on the picks. The top 3 were Ohtani, Judge, and Soto. We got Tarek Skubal at 4, Ronald Acuna, Jose Ramirez went to Scott. We got Bobby Witt Jr. at 7, Kyle Tucker, Fernando Tatis, Paul Skeens, Garrett Crochet, and Ketel Marte, which might surprise people, but again, he does not strike out very much. And then into round 2, it's Junior Caminero, Kyle Schwarber, Corbin Carroll, Vlad Jr., and Logan Gilbert.
Yeah. So obviously the Bobby Witt one is different, though he tends to fall in our points leagues as well, since he's not a big walks guy. Yeah, I do feel like I'm flying a little blind in this draft because the format is just so. I do play in some different head-to-head points leagues. They're not all CBS default scoring, but the fact that all the base stealers are their contributions in that category are cut in half. Strikeouts being worth. Yeah, I mean, this is different. This is going to be interesting. Okay, I am up.
Especially interesting when we see Alex Bregman in round 2, Scott.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go ahead and take Cal Raleigh here. I know he strikes out a lot, but he is far and away the best catcher, and not to overthink the scoring differences, but still in head-to-head points when you don't have the extra outfielders, you don't have the extra infielders, you need impact from every spot. And so being able to get Cal Raleigh at, where was it, 20, 21, 20? Yeah, I went ahead and took him.
All right. After you took Cal Raleigh, we got Julio Rodriguez.
19. It was 19.
Julio Rodriguez and Ellie De La Cruz. And Ariel, you are on the clock. What are we thinking?
All right, I'm going to go with Brian Wu over here, who I have as my number 4 best overall pitcher. You do need a lot of pitchers here. There's 7 pitchers to 9 hitters, so you can't discount them, and Wu is just amazing. Lasts long, gets you a lot of innings, needed an anchor, and for this kind of format, I think you do need a pitching anchor. So that's why I took him.
All right, I am on the clock here and trying to figure out what direction I would like to go in. I had Aaron Judge as my first pick. And again, it's like trying to recalculate your brain compared to, with the scoring format. So the top hitters available, Machado.
I would probably need a couple days to study this, I think, to really give it my best shot.
I'm going to go ahead and take Gunnar Henderson, who typically is a borderline first-round pick. I don't expect him to strike out all that much. It's probably somewhere in that like 20 to 25% K rate, but will be so good with the power and speed. Totally fine taking him here to go along with Aaron Judge. So, and the next pick was Yoshinobu Yamamoto to finish out round 2. And Christopher Sanchez. You know what? I figured I could get Christopher Sanchez with the next pick, that I didn't have to go ahead and pull him up the board there. But I'm not so sure that I want to take a pitcher yet, but I don't know. Ariel kind of talked me into it with getting one of those ace pitchers.
I mean, you got to take a strikeout guy specifically. So I think a Max Fried, for instance, not a big strikeout guy. A lot of his value comes from wins, which are only 2 points apiece.
I was looking at Chris Sale to get those strikeouts there.
I was hoping you weren't.
With the Braves jersey on and everything. Take that.
Yeah. Right. I just took Yordan Alvarez. I'm looking at the outfielders, and he's so much better than some of the others. There's a big drop in outfield if you don't get a big bopper. And since I just went Wu and I didn't get that big bopper, I now have Soto and Alvarez. That's a pretty high and mighty outfield. I'll play all the other positions a little bit later that I think are a little bit closer to each other in value. Yordan Alvarez, I think, could have a really great season if he stays healthy. I mean, that's the key for him, really. But if he does, we know his value.
And it's worth pointing out that on ESPN, he does have that outfield eligibility to start the year. On CBS and NFBC, he doesn't. On Yahoo and ESPN, he does have that outfield eligibility. So nice to point that out there with Alvarez. Next 2 picks after that, Manny Machado and Max Fried. And Scott, you are up. You have Jose Ramirez and the Big Dumpa.
I know. I don't like this. I mean, Francisco Lindor is still there in round 3. Obviously, that's normally a great value.
That feels pretty good.
A lot of his value comes from steals, but he's also not a guy who strikes out much. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take him.
Yeah, I like
since
that.
You took Chris Sale out from under me.
Can't let you get all those Braves, Scott. Come on.
Well, how many Braves do I have? I have 0.
Well, you had Matt Olson in the first draft.
I'm drafting Matt Olson a lot. You know why? It's because I prefer Olson to both Harper and Devers, and I think I'm in the minority there.
Right after Lindor, we got Logan Webb, so another ace off the board. Cody Bellinger in a league where strikeouts are -1. I mean, that is just a primo pick.
Was looking at him. Yep.
Yeah, I think it was like a 13 or 15% K rate last year for Bellinger. So someone who does make a lot of contact. We are here in round 3. Again, thanks you to everybody for being here. We've got almost 600 people watching live. Like this video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. 40K by opening day. Probably not going to happen. It's a lofty goal, but subscribe if you haven't already.
I haven't lost faith.
After Bellinger, we got Hunter Brown and Mason Miller. Let's see.
Yeah.
Mason Miller, interesting to try and evaluate him. So
A lot of strikeouts.
I did take the
For
point
a
scoring
reliever.
system and
For
I
a
put
reliever.
yes.
True.
But it's just 7 pitchers, right? It's not starters and relievers.
And saves are worth 5 in this. So you
saves
do
are
get
worth
more,
5, but innings are worth 3.
Yes.
Right.
And strikeouts, just by virtue of not throwing as many innings, he's going to have a lot less strikeouts.
Probably a little too early for Miller. Probably a little too early, but he is the number 1 guy. Maybe 4th, 5th round for this kind of format. I can see that.
Yes. So I took the scoring system. I plugged it into the auction calculator on Fangraphs. I'm using ATC projections. No surprise there, Ariel. And they have Mason Miller as a $25 player. And that would slot in right around SP 18, like right behind Cole Reagan. So I do think it's a little early here on Mason Miller, but just to give people some perspective on what his valuation is in this format. After Mason Miller, there was Jazz Chisholm. Lots of power and speed, but also lots of strikeouts for him. But it is a discount from where he normally goes. Framber Valdez and Jesus Luzardo. And we are into round 4. Here we go.
Going quick.
Yes, sir.
So I'm seeing Nico Horner pretty high in the available players, and he doesn't strike out much, but no power. So I got to think, getting just 1 point per steals instead of 2. I'm a little surprised how high he shows up in the draft room because I wouldn't think there would be a ton of value there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
Ariel,
what do you think about Nico Horner in this format?
Horner in this format, a little bit lower down. I have.
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking. I'm surprised how high he is in the draft room.
Yeah, he is the top second baseman left, but not a big difference to the rest. I think you could have waited on Horner. I think.
He hasn't gone yet. I'm just thinking about. Thinking about my next pick.
You can wait a little bit. I'd be surprised if you've taken, but 2 rounds from now, you don't want to let him go way past that.
Mm-hmm. After Jesus Luzardo, Nick Kurtz and Steven Kwan goes again. It's like so different compared to what we normally see in drafts, but it's you do
Kwan
have to adapt.
Pick.
You do have to adapt to the format. And Steven Kwan, the lack of strikeouts versus Nick Kurtz, the pick right before him.
Mookie Betts was a very good value for right here. He went too far.
Yeah, that was looking good. I already had a shortstop, so I wasn't going to be able to do it. I don't know. Maybe I would have filled my. Oh, great. I'm up and Reagan's just went. I was holding my breath on Reagan's.
Oh, Reagan's. Yep. Lots of strikeouts from Reagan's. Lots of risk. But again, this is a shallower format, so I think it's okay to take on a little bit of risk there. Right. Jacob deGrom is the next pick. And Scott, I hate to inform you, but you're up.
I know. And Reagan's and deGrom were the last 2 from that tier. Luzardo's already gone, right? So he's gone. I don't have a pitcher yet. I got to get some strikeouts. Minus 2 points per earned run is a problem for somebody like Peralta, Freddie Peralta, whose ERA is more likely to be in the mid 3s than the mid high 2s like it was last year. But he does get a lot of strikeouts. And he does seem to be the best pitcher left. So I'm going to take him, not with a ton of confidence.
Let's go Mets.
Was he your top pitcher available?
No.
Okay.
Close.
Yeah.
Who else would have been? Kirby? Cease?
Yeah, Cease is up there.
Well, we'll see what happens next. Trey Turner in round 4.
It's just, again, you got to recalculate your brain. It's so interesting to see where these guys are going here. Matt Olson, Trey Turner goes, and Ariel, you're back up. Your first 3 picks, Soto, Brian Wu, and Yordan Alvarez.
Okay, so you mentioned that strikeouts are a big thing in this league. I have a first baseman who is fantastic at not getting struck out, Vinny Pasquantino, friend of the podcast.
Vinny P, baby. Is he a friend of the podcast? Our podcast or your podcast?
My podcast, but he's a friend of every podcast.
I wish I was friends with Vinny P, baby.
Yeah, more like Vinny 3, man. 3 home runs last night against Mexico to help USA.
And your podcast sounds cool.
Yes, that's the Beat the Shift podcast if people want to check it out. Let's see. First base. I am looking at first base because there are still some pretty big names left that are out here. Let's see. Some of these guys do strike out quite a bit, but they also hit for a lot of power. So, this is much further than he usually lasts, but I'm going to go ahead and take Pete Alonso.
Yeah, I was considering taking him too,
Yeah.
but I have him just a tick higher in this format. Again, it's total points, right? If this was a roto league, you would not draft Vinny P over Pete Alonso in any situation.
Right. Yeah. So, yes, I took Pete Alonso, and then William Contreras goes.
I'm not sure I remember what it was last year, but Alonso's strikeout rates are pretty reasonable for a guy with his power.
Yeah, it's like 20 to 22%.
Yeah.
Thinking that range. It's not terrible.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Yep.
Given the power.
Yep. So I've
You'd
got
expect
Alonso
that be
here.
more like 25, 26%.
Alonso, Gunnar, Judge. I've got Chris Sale as my SP1. Do I dive back into pitching here? Again, you want the strikeouts. Those are big. And I think that's the way that I'm leaning. There's still a lot of really good outfielders left. I'm going to go ahead and take another pitcher here and take Dylan C. Someone I don't typically take, but man, the strikeouts being so valuable the way that they are. Yeah. I have the scoring system plugged into ATC projections here.
Top pitcher left.
They have Dylan C says the SP 14. So
that was a good pick right there with the pitcher.
So where do you have the second closer, Edwin Diaz, going? Because he's still available.
Diaz.
Just tell me who to take. Let's.
Yeah, I mean, Edwin Diaz would be the.
So you have.
Yeah, it's about the right time to take Diaz. Something close to it. Yep, I agree. All right, I'm going to go with this pick, Michael Garcia. Now, he probably will go a round or two from now. And remember, I'm picking at the third, so I got to make it towards a lot of people. But the thing about him is, if you look at the third base position, there is such a drop from Michael Garcia. Like, to me, it's not just overall value. It's the drop from where you are to the next one. After Michael Garcia, Austin Riley is the next best player. And I've got like 7 rounds of drop or so of value between the two. So,
he loses a lot of value in head-to-head, even our head-to-head points league, but especially when it's a full point for a strikeout. That's one that you just take him off the board.
Yeah. But
he's not a differentiator. I mean, he's going to get drafted, but he's not.
Right. Now, there's no corner in this league. There's just one third baseman. So a lot of the third basemen are off the board, and he's just sitting there with a lot of a value drop. So I didn't want to let him go to anybody. I'm just nervous. And now I got a first and third.
You know what? I plugged in your projections, Ariel, and I forgot to put -1 as the strikeout. So that's why it didn't have Michael Garcia ranked as highly as I thought he should have been. But yes, if I had that in there correctly, I probably would have taken him myself. But yes, good pick there on Michael Garcia. Next one was Bryce Harper, then Kyle Bradish, and Scott, we are back to you. You have J-Ram, Cal Raleigh, Lindor, and Freddie Peralta.
Yeah, I don't know. I might. No, he strikes out a lot. I'm actually going to take George Springer here. Doesn't strike out much. Walks at a good clip. Not that dependent on speed. George Springer. That's my pick.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been good in points league formats, that plate discipline, and I don't think anyone's expecting him to come close to what he did last year, even if he regresses. Right. I mean, it's 20 to 25 homers, 15 steals, leading off for a good lineup. Should still be pretty solid production.
How was Freddie Freeman still there? I totally overlooked him. Now I feel stupid.
I had one outfielder ahead of them. I won't say who it is, but I think there's one outfielder I had better than Springer.
I know who it is.
Yep.
I know he's probably not going to make it back to me because you'll probably take him, Ariel.
Yeah. Actually, there's sort of 2 outfielders, but at least one that I usually goes pretty high in drafts in any format.
Yeah. Let's catch people up here on some of the picks. And
I don't want to be too. Is it Jackson Chourio?
Yeah, Jackson Chourio.
I just figured this format kind of ruined him, but
sure, but he's not the second round. It would be like the 5th round now.
Round, sure.
Yeah. Sure. After we saw Springer go to Scott, there was Roman Anthony, who strikes out quite a bit, but he walks a lot as well. So kind of helps mitigate some of that. Freddie Freeman, Nico Horner, Jose Altuve. So again, a lot of picks here who do minimize the strikeouts. Makes sense for them to go this early in this type of format.
Yes, it does, Frank. Yes, it does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's Nico Horner there. So yeah, about the right spot for Nico. I'm down with that.
I'm kind of tilting about the Freddie Freeman thing. I don't know why. I mean, I shouldn't rely on the draft room so much. I should just be able to process everybody who's left with my tiers on one page here. But yeah, I don't know why he was buried.
Now I'm sure that there's some people who are listening to this broadcast who probably heard us talk about it. Churio, so maybe they picked him because of that. You never know.
Yep. And then there goes Edwin Diaz too. So we were just talking about him too. That makes sense. We do appreciate the people who filled in this mock draft, by the way. They are listeners of the show and keeping things moving along here. We do appreciate them being here. And we are into round 6. Round 6, making some good time here.
Nice.
Altuve, I thought about him. Low strikeout guy, doesn't get a lot of his value from steals anymore. And obviously eligible to weak position. But I'm hearing noises. Oh, somebody took somebody from my queue. Geraldo Perdomo. Yeah, that's a great pick.
Oh, that was my next pick.
Yep.
That is a good one. Oh, yeah. Perdomo. So, I was going to ask, Ariel, where are you at on Perdomo this year? Obviously, you had the huge breakout season last year, but it was so far and away different than anything we ever seen from him before. What are you expecting from Perdomo this season?
Yeah, with anybody like that, you can expect some regression. He's obviously not as good as the career year that he had, but, I wouldn't expect him to fall flat. So, if you take off a couple of homers, a couple of steals, that's roughly where he is. He's sort of in the range of Jeremy Pena, that type of production, maybe a little bit less than that.
Yeah, and he is so good in a points league format. Any type of points league that penalizes strikeouts, CBS or ESPN, Perdomo is someone who does get a bit of an uptick there in value. So good pick there on Perdomo. And then the next one here is George Kirby in round 6, which is pretty close to where he normally goes.
Yep. He was the next best pitcher.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we did get some news just now. Our buddy Chris Towers texted us. Quinn Priester is back from seeing a vascular specialist in Dallas. Dr. Pat Murphy. Diagnosis is nerve issue in the thoracic outlet syndrome family, but believes it's treatable without surgery. Priester already threw lightly today, scheduled for a bullpen on March 21st. Doesn't sound very good, though.
No, that's not a family I want to be part of.
No.
Those darn thoracics.
Okay, I didn't get sniped this time. So while we were talking, Bryce Terang went off the board in round 6 here, and that was one I was struggling with because the strikeouts aren't bad, but they're not as low as you'd expect for a guy who you think is contact oriented and generally hits for average, and then obviously you don't get much benefit from his steals in this format. So that's why Terang lasted this long. Now our Ariel was Ariel or Ariel? I'm sorry, I always forget.
Ariel.
Yeah. Okay, I don't need to awkwardly say it wrong the whole thing. So I'll just ask you. Ariel was talking about how Vinny Pasquantino is a low strikeout guy at first base, but there was one who was even lower last year, and it's Josh Naylor.
Yeah, I love Naylor.
Now, obviously, he stole 30 bases last year, and that's worth half as many points as what we're used to in this one. But gets a lot of extra base hits too. He's an even better points league. Prior to last year, he was always considered a good points league player. Prior to last year with the steals breakout, so I imagine he'll remain so even in a format that suppresses the steals.
Yep, I think that's a great pick there with Josh Naylor. Brent Rooker, he was one that I saw very high in the projections. Ariel, that lasted quite a bit in this draft here. Round 6 for Brent Rooker.
Yeah, Brent Rooker. That was my next pick. So I got sniped.
Yep. That means I would have gotten sniped because you would have right before my pick. So there you go. And then Jackson Merrill. So we're getting a run of outfielders here. And Ariel, you are back up.
All right. Well, the highest pitcher value on the board, a little bit of an injury concern, but as he's now being drafted, probably 2 rounds too late, I'm going to go with pitcher Joe Ryan, who I think just left the Twins to go to the World Baseball Classic.
Yes.
So that's a good sign. So I'll go with the pick.
All right. And I am going to grab my second outfielder here, someone who I see ranks pretty highly in this format as well. Strikeouts were a little bit higher last year. I think they dropped back down this year. I'm going to go ahead with Wyatt Langford as my second outfielder, joining Aaron Judge. So I've got Alonso, Gunnar Henderson, Judge, Langford, Chris Sale, Dylan Cease. Pretty balanced so far. Can't mess it up, right? It's the first 6 rounds. Have a good
You can mess it up.
Rafael Devers. That is someone who lasted pretty long here as well. The strikeouts were high.
Yes,
But he just hit a lot of home runs. So
a couple years ago, you would think of him as a low strikeout guy for the power he had. He would strike out 18%. That's the kind of player Devers started out as. But obviously, the escalation we saw in the strikeouts last year. I mean, it's the reason why people are concerned in general, and you ratchet up that concern even more in this particular scoring format.
Mm-hmm. Next couple picks, Devers went, and then Austin Riley. So another third baseman off the board. Riley, typically pretty bad plate discipline, doesn't walk very much, and not a crazy strikeout rate. He's usually in that like 25-ish%, maybe a little bit higher than that. But it's probably fine at this point if you need a third baseman, which I do. Yeah. There's one left.
There's one third baseman worth drafting left.
Yeah. It's not great.
Is he somebody who's not normally drafted very high?
Well, can I ask you something here? I mean, you got Bo Bichette, who doesn't qualify as a third base yet, but if you're drafting, you could draft him there and then put him in third base later on and take a crappy third baseman at the end. That's drafting tech.
Sure.
Thank you for that, Ariel. I'm going to go ahead and take Bo Bichette. We just spoke about this earlier today, where I need some kind of reminder that, yes, Bo Bichette is going to play third base. And you were that reminder. So thank you, Ariel.
Yes. And I took Bo Bichette in TGFBI for the same reason that, I just didn't like any of the third basemen around. But, hey, take him. And, by the way, you can use him at shortstop, too, if you need it. You never know.
I've always thought of Bo Bichette as a bad points league player because he doesn't walk much at all, like 6% walk rates. He did get that strikeout rate below 15% last year. Usually it's closer to 20.
Yeah.
And so that helped his points league outlook a lot. If it's something we can expect to continue, obviously it's an outlier at this point, but that would be the knock on Bo Bichette. It's not enough walks.
Yeah. But again, in this format, I think we're more so focusing on the lack of strikeouts. I think boosting up players like that. So
and last year there was a lack, but I'm saying in previous years it wasn't such a lack.
Yeah. I mean, even if it's in that 15 to 20% range, I think that would still be worth it here. Looking at the rest of the third baseman available, I won't be able to put him in my third base slot in this draft, but that is the hope. I already have Gunnar Henderson at shortstop. So if we were playing this league out, I would wind up putting Bo Bichette at third base. Ariel, you selected Kevin Gausman. Then we got Brendan Nimmo, Corey Seager, and Scott,
I thought Corey Seager had already gone. Clearly he hadn't, but I think that was a good pick.
Yeah.
I am going to shoot for some pitching upside here since I only have one, and I'm going to take Yuri Perez, who should be a big strikeout guy to the extent he's anything at all.
All right, Yuri Perez here in round 7. I am trying to keep an eye on those relievers to see when is the right time to mix them in with the starters.
Don't need them, right? You don't need them.
No, you don't have to. Just seeing if they're better values at this point in the starting pitch.
I mean, in terms of what they're projected to do, the draft room says yes. And I don't know if Ariel's projections would agree, but the draft room says yes. It's just, there's a limit to their ceiling. When starting pitchers, it's a position full of breakthroughs every year, right? There's so much volatility at starting pitcher. We normally talk about it in a bad way, but in the good way too, in that guys who don't look like high-end pitchers coming in, you'll get a couple dozen of them who suddenly become that. And that has more upside than a really good closer in this format. So do you shoot for the upside or do you play it safe? I think the shallower the league, the more it makes sense to shoot for upside.
Mm-hmm. Let me just point out one thing about closers in a points league type of format. They're more variable because some weeks they can have 3 saves, in which, holy cow, you're getting tons of points, and in some weeks you're getting nothing. So if you only have 1, maybe 2, you're going to be more variable week to week. if you pick 3 closers on your team, because there's 3 of them, you're actually going to get a more evenly distributed points total for the week. You're going to need a lot of starters to propel, but it gives you a good base. So I'm of the opinion in this format, either go like 1 or 0 or go like 3 and just go for it to give you the points base.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good point there with the relievers in this specific format. We just saw one of those go with Cade Smith from the Guardians. Couple picks right before that. We got Will Smith, the catcher, and Zach Neto, along with Seiya Suzuki. So those are last.
Neto's one who I presume his value just craters in this format.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And CJ Abrams would be the same way. Not that he's been taken yet, but same situation there.
Exactly.
Yep. James Wood, trying to get an idea of how far down he drops in this format.
Yeah, we just saw Wood and Pete Crow Armstrong go. Two others who I always link together.
It's also the steals people. If you're used to playing Roto, steals makes you go higher. It's not the case in this format.
Yeah. So ATC has PCA as like a $12 player and James Wood is like a $9 player. But based on the outfielders that are left, this is probably the right range that they should go.
Yeah.
About fair value. After James Wood, PCA, Christian Yelich. Yelich could be a nice little grab there. Does he have
good spot for the catcher, by the way? I like that. I like that pick for them.
Yep. Shea Langoliers.
Yeah.
Kazuma Okamoto. Here we go. 8th round. Interesting.
Well, that's a gamble.
Yeah. I mean, if
on his skill set in Japan, he did not strike out very much and he walked quite a bit.
Yeah, but I think he could have also lasted longer. I think it's a big jump of ADP. I think he could have lasted like another 2-3 rounds at least.
It's possible. Yep. We are here in round 8. Round 8 of 19. Okamoto. Scott, what do you like about Okamoto besides everything?
I think people aren't giving his power enough credit, given how the exit velocity readings we do have from Japan. I don't know. I mean, maybe I should probably see if I can find some compiled on the spring so far. But he was as good relative to the rest of that league last year as Aaron Judge is relative to the rest of ours, which I don't mean to make that say, oh, he's as good as Aaron Judge, but it shows you like he was a monster in Japan. And unlike Munetaka Murakami, he doesn't have the strikeout issues. In fact, he's on the other side he's on the other extreme as far as that goes.
Mm-hmm.
I got to make a pick here and I don't know who to pick.
All right. Well, then we will catch people up and let you figure that out.
Yeah.
We got a run of pitchers here after Okamoto: Sonny Gray, Ryan Pepio, and Chase Burns. All 3 names that should get a ton of strikeouts this season. And Scott went ahead with the reliever strategy. Andres Munoz.
Yeah. Yeah, it was between him or Kevin Gausman, but Gausman's strikeouts have been on the decline. Still gives you a ton of innings.
I already picked Gausman.
Oh, you picked him. You did? Oh, I thought he showed up as available.
So.
Yeah. I see him on your team, Ariel.
Okay. I don't know why.
That would be kind of cool if you could do that and just grab him for my team,
You know what? I think it's because he showed up in the search. I thought he was available.
Gotcha.
I'm not used to the draft room either. Sorry about that.
Okay.
The next picks, we got Luke Keeschel and then Luis Castillo. And Ariel, you are back up.
All right. I think the pitchers are sort of more mushy here, that you can pick anyone. The way that I make picks is if there's a range of pitchers or any position that there's so many clusters of values, you don't have to take the highest one. You'll get somebody not much less.
That's the tiers approach, Ariel.
Exactly.
I've been preaching that for decades at this point.
Exactly. But at second base, I do see a big difference, and that's Gleyber Torres. And I needed one. I have no middle infielders at all, so Gleyber Torres right there for value. A lot of RBIs and runs. That's the big draw for Torres.
Yep, I was getting ready to take him, so thank you for that, Ariel.
You're welcome.
Luke Keeschel is gone as well, so now I feel like I just wait at second base because I mean, Semien.
There are a lot of low strikeout guys there.
Yeah,
still.
I'm going to go ahead and follow Scott with the reliever strategy here and take Yohan Duran, who should be one of the best in baseball on the Phillies now, was used as a full-time closer finally last year. lots of strikeouts on a great team, should get lots of opportunities. So let's see. Let's see if do I wind up with one closer or do I go with the 3 that Ariel told me that I should go with?
Well, Devin, there's a closer run now. Devin Williams and David Bednar.
Williams Bednar just went. Those would have been any good pairings for you, by the way.
Yeah, and they will not be on my team now. And let's see what I've got. I need a catcher, second base, third base. Well, not third base. Bo Bichette would be there, so I'll just fill that in last. Second base, don't love it. Catcher, anything interesting here? Yeah, we got some names. Let's see what the projections like here. They have them pretty similar at this point. I'll go ahead and I'll go with the young gun. I'll take Drake Baldwin as my starting catcher here.
Oh, that was one of my choices for next pick.
Yes,
catcher. Yeah.
Take that. Let's make a trade, Ariel. I'll give you Drake Baldwin. You give me Gleyber Torres.
Trades in a mock. I love it here. But I'm gonna do the same thing I did with Torres. There's one shortstop who's so much more valuable than the other. This guy does not strike out a lot. It's Wilson, Jacob Wilson from the Athletics.
It's good value. Yep.
Yeah, good value here. No strikeouts. He batted .311 last year. Perfect for this format and perfect for this spot in the draft.
I'm having to kind of reverse engineer this. Like, I'm having to think, does this guy get a lot of his value from steals? And if the answer is yes, then he's probably a lot better in this format.
Yeah.
And also, obviously the strikeouts question, but I'm a little more accustomed to that. It's just, it applies double.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Let's catch people up on some picks here. After I selected Drake Baldwin, Ariel took Jacob Wilson, then my boy, Nick Lodolo. I should have been paying attention. And then Cam Schlittler. Scott, back to you, round 9.
I am going to go with the one, the only. Is it too early for him? Nah, I don't know if it's too early or not. Let's go ahead and take him. Why not?
Do it. Let's have fun. Let's get crazy.
Yandy Diaz.
All right.
Yandy, love it. Love that pick.
Yeah. Doesn't strike out much at all. Doesn't normally get a lot of value from speed. So he's a good points league player regardless of the format.
Highest player on the board left, by the way, in any position.
Okay.
So.
There you go, Scott. Don't overthink.
I can synthesize this on the fly. I'm not.
You know what you're doing.
I'm not that dumb.
Professional, Scott White. After Diaz, we got Byron Buxton and Ian Happ. Ian Happ usually gets a lot of his value from walks. Strikeout rate is okay. It's like
walks matter here. Walks matter in this format.
22 to 25% K rate there for Ian Happ, but he's solid. For whatever this is worth, the ATC projections in this format have Yandy Diaz projected higher than Nick Kurtz. So,
wow. Yeah, that's a little surprising, but yeah.
But I mean, look, Nick Kurtz is a 30% K rate, and Yandy Diaz is probably half of that, right? 15%, something like that, 15 to 20%. So,
yeah.
Matters a lot. Again, it's not like Roto. You gotta be aware of the strikeouts here. Big thing.
Mm-hmm. All right, Chris Bubich. There you go, Scott. Add another one to the list. His ADP is not real.
His ADP is not real. This is even earlier than the one we did.
That's pretty early. Yeah.
This afternoon. It was what, 114, 113?
Yep.
And that other one I was complaining about 140, I believe it was.
Gainer Diaz, another catcher, doesn't strike out a lot. Pretty good for catcher.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, it's coming together. I like this team that I put together. Might have to play this league out. No, I'm just kidding. No more leagues. My goodness. So many leagues. Gosh. After Diaz, we got to roll this Chapman, who's probably the last top tier closer available at this point.
It was between him and Yandy Diaz with my last pick.
Yep.
And Yandy Diaz was for my utility spot, by the way, which is part of the hesitation there. But it's I'm not familiar. I haven't really played in a head-to-head points league that's only 1 point per steal. But my oldest fantasy league, period, is minus a full point for strikeouts for hitters. And I know they just stopped mattering before the draft is even over. They just doesn't make a difference anymore who you take. And I think we're nearing that point at this one where a lot of these hitters, you're just not going to find any advantage there because they're undermined by one thing or another. It's the strikeouts being the one we're not used to.
Mm-hmm.
One thing also to keep in mind, and you have to check the point system in your league, is are there negative points for caught stealing? Because if there are, it means steals are worth much less than you think. In this particular format that we're doing, there is no negative for caught stealing, so steals are actually worth a little bit more than some other formats.
Yeah,
I believe
that's a good point.
CBS, by the way, I believe caught stealing does charge you. So in the CBS
Yes.
format, any of the base stealers are worth less. You should know.
Well, you know, they're getting so efficient these days, the base stealers, especially with the new pickoff rules from a couple years ago.
It's not about efficiency, though. It's about overall value of steals because, you know, let's say everybody roughly gets, you know, thrown out 20% of the time, 30% of the time, whatever it is. It just reduces the point value that you get from your speed game in total, right? That's all it really means.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like net steals in that way. If you're playing
net steals, yeah,
it's net steals category.
But some stealers are more efficient than others. You know, it's not like it's flatly everybody gets caught 20% of the time.
Right.
Correct. After, let's see, we are into round 10. There was Randy Arozarena, Tyler Glasnow, Eugenio Suarez, Tyler Soderstrom, and then a pitcher run here, Zach Wheeler, Michael King, Nathan Eovaldi, and we are back over to Scotty Dubs.
Oh, do I have to? Do I have to? Oh, man. I don't love what I'm seeing on the hitting side. So I'm going to take a pitcher. I'm going to take Brandon Woodruff, who should look like an ace when he's healthy and available, which he should be at the start of the year, despite some concerns about that. Earlier.
Yep. He was one of the highest ranked based on the projections I'm looking at here. Brandon Woodruff. And in a shallower league, you could take a little bit more risk on some of the injury-prone pitchers. So I think that's a good pick.
Boy, I'm in trouble in the outfield, man.
Oh, McLean just went too.
I'm in trouble.
Ariel, what's up with your boy?
No, I see a couple.
Nolan McLean got hit around by Italy in the WBC.
Just 2 hits, just 2 homers. So you know he was pretty filthy. Other than that, but you know Italy is 4-0, so
they're pretty good.
They're doing good.
Raisel Iglesias the next pick, and Ariel, you're back up here.
Okay. The question is what position to gather from. I've got most of my team filled out. All right, I'm going to go.
Would you have gone Woodruff over McLean, Frank? Because you reacted to Woodruff more than you reacted to McLean.
Based on these projections, Woodruff was one of the highest ranked pitchers that are left. But I mean, the projections might just be a little bit lower on McLean.
Speaking as the one who took Woodruff, I maybe should have taken McLean. That's what my rankings have, McLean over Woodruff.
I just went for more upside and a lot of strikeouts with Spencer Strider.
What are you expecting this season, Ariel?
I'm expecting like 170, 180 strikeouts. ERA and the whip might not be as good this year. I just worry. I got to see more fastball velocity from him. He's not where he was. But overall volume and stays healthy, I think he can actually beat the ATC projections of just 150 innings and 180 strikeouts, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go ahead and take one of these upside pitchers, too, someone I expect to get a lot of strikeouts this season. That is Emmett Sheehan.
Unless the fastball suddenly comes back in his last couple spring starts. I think the upside scenario for Spencer Strider, and I mentioned this on Thursday's pod, I think the upside scenario is like a Sonny Gray.
Yep.
And obviously there's a lot of downside cases for him, too.
Head-to-head points, though, doesn't crush you as much as Roto. So I'm more inclined to take the gamble and put him in, you know?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
All right. We just saw the Miz go, Jacob Mizurowski, and you know what they say about the Miz.
Because I'm the Miz, and I'm awesome!
There you go. He is awesome.
What are the rules for gaining eligibility here?
That is a good question. I could look it up while we are talking through some of the picks. I took Alec Burleson because it's just the lack of strikeouts. He is someone that gets pushed up a little bit in this format, and someone that I just generally like as well. Ariel, back to you. I'm going to look up the eligibility rules.
Yeah, I'm going to go with catcher Adley Rutschman, getting a little bit close to thin on catchers, and I don't want to end up with somebody at the bottom. But I think Adley is due for a bounce-back season. I'm going to chalk last year mostly off to injury and slow start. I mean, he's a top 5 catcher, to be honest, and at this point in the draft, it's 11 rounds. We have 16 starters. I'm going to take a stab at him because a lot of value upside there.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the last catcher I would have wanted in this scoring format.
Exactly.
Because
I have no idea how to find out though.
Gabriel Moreno maybe is worthwhile.
Salvador Perez still okay. Look at the volume he has.
Yes, the plate discipline's so bad.
Yeah.
I was looking at Simeon.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
Not gonna be me, clearly. All right, so I said that like I was about to say something big, but now I'm not as confident in what I was about to say. I can't synthesize anything, even my own thoughts on the fly, so I'm very bad. Okay, so let's do. I need outfield. Who do I rank higher between those two? I should just know that, right? I am going to take Dalen Lyle.
A lot of upside.
Thank you.
Yep.
Not many strikeouts, tons of extra base hits, 7 triples in September alone.
Hey, where in the lineup is he going to bat, by the way? That matters,
I don't know.
think. I don't.
Second, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bad team, so you would think in the top half somewhere, right?
Roster Resource says 5th. I don't
might
know.
Do better than that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see them going, they could go, I think 5th makes sense. He could work his way up, but I think Abrams Cruz would probably make sense as the top 3.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if Cruz can't pull it together, he's going to move down the lineup. That's the thing about the Nationals lineup is they have so many unknowns that you got to feel like they're going to be shuffling that thing a lot before they land on the right order.
Catcher run right there.
Yep, let's see what we've got. After Dalen Lyle, it was Gavin Williams, Salvador Perez, Agustin Ramirez, Otto Lopez, C.J. Abrams. C.J. Abrams in round 11 again. It's just we're not used to seeing that late.
Yeah,
he doesn't walk very much. Strikeouts are, he's probably like a 20% K rate guy. It's not terrible, but a lot of his value comes from steals and only 1 point per steal. Taylor Ward, the final pick of round 11. Ariel, I feel like Taylor Ward, someone who just always pops in the ATC projections.
Yeah, I've got him on so many teams. I mean, listen, we're talking like 35, 40 homers potentially. And he's on a much better team in offense than last year. I don't know why he's been neglected. This is a 3 outfielder league, so, he's not somebody you must get. But, if you're in a deeper 5 outfielder league, I mean, he's somebody that is very undervalued every year, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the first pick of round 12 is Hunter Goodman. So another catcher there. Someone who will strike out quite a bit.
Yep.
But you're still hoping for like 30 home runs.
Yeah. There's so little margin for error with that profile. I probably would have taken a Gabriel Moreno over him. Or maybe even Alejandro Kirk. Feel more confident in what they're going to provide in this format. Just obviously Hunter Goodman way ahead of him in a typical fantasy league, but again, we're working with the oddities of this format.
Riley Green just went. Phenomenal bat, 36 homers last year. He was my next pick.
Yep, that's pretty late for him. Any worry about the strikeouts, though, Ariel?
Yeah,
like it
strikes out so much.
30% K rate for Riley Green last year.
But it's late. Again, you were talking about, the 4th to last round in your active players here. It's again in a roto format, he's way up, but still decent for the drop here in rounds that you're getting for him.
All right, after Riley Green, we are getting quite the pitcher run. Zach Gallen, Trevor Rogers, Shota Imanaga, Ranger Suarez. Scott, I hope you didn't want a pitcher.
I always want a pitcher. No, I rarely want a pitcher. I don't know why I said that. Absent-mindedly saying things. Let's pick. Let me see. Yeah, this guy has a low strikeout rate. We've made the comp between him and Stephen Kwan so many times, and you guys both like that Stephen Kwan pick about 7 rounds ago. So I'm going to take Sal Frelick here.
I like it. Yep. He when he was coming up, the hope was that he would become a Stephen Kwan-esque player, and that's exactly who Sal Frelick has become.
Going right after him is Isaac Paredes, who I also like a lot in this format. And that is why I was asking what the eligibility rules are, because I still need a second baseman, and I think eventually Paredes is going to pick up eligibility there.
Yeah.
But it might take a while because obviously he's not playing there regularly.
Yeah,
so
I'm not sure if it's like 5 games or 10.
It makes a big difference, I feel like.
Yep. That is fair. And Ariel, you are on deck here. Let's take a look at what you've got so far. You've got Adley Rutschman, Vinny P,
Baby.
Gleyber Torres, Michael Garcia, Jacob Wilson, Juan Soto, Yordan Alvarez. Your pitchers, Brian Wu, Joe Ryan, Kevin Gausman, and Spencer Strider. And in the chat, someone says it's 10 games for eligibility. Thank you to Jake for pointing that out.
So that might be June or July before Paredes is second base eligible.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ariel, you are up, sir.
I've got a first baseman, second baseman, but Luis Arias to me is such a value here.
I was just gonna take
and I thought that you maybe would take him. I don't want to let it go around for you, so I'm taking him now. But yeah, I mean, talk about no strikeout rate. What is it, like a 4% K rate for him?
Yep. That is that's someone I was looking at here. It would have been weird though, because he would have just been on my bench, because the hope would be I eventually put him in at second base.
I have him as utility right now. So
yeah, which I think is fine. Let's see who is rated higher here. And all right, at second base, I'm gonna go with someone very similar skill set to Luis Arias. That is Brendan Donovan, who is now with the Mariners, but typically very low strikeouts, and should be leading off for the Mariners this season. So, hitting ahead of Julio Rodriguez and Cal Raleigh. We should get lots of runs scored for Brendan Donovan.
Yeah, makes sense.
I typically target, but makes sense here.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
Don't hate it.
At the turn, we get Michael Harris and O'Neal Cruz. Ariel, do you think this was the right time to take the plunge on O'Neal Cruz?
I'm not a fan of O'Neal Cruz. ATC projections say in this format you should not actually take him at all.
Oh, all right.
Well,
there is our answer.
Bench player.
Yes. Let's see who's available on the pitching side of things. So far, I've got Sale, Cease, Yohan Duran, and Emmett Sheehan. And yeah, it's dried up a little bit here on the pitching side. Lots of names. I know Tanner Bybee ranks very highly in the projections, but I'm not a Tanner Bybee guy, so I'll leave him for you, Ariel, if you want him. I will go ahead and take Mackenzie Gore, who I think is going to get a ton of strikeouts this year.
All right. Well,
lots of walks, but lots of strikeouts.
I'm glad you didn't take Bybee. That was my next.
I know that was your it's Tanner Bybee and Taylor Ward. I feel like those two always just pop in ATC and usually wind up on a lot of your teams.
Yeah. Well, I thought he had a down year last year. He's still good for 160, 170 strikeouts. So, for volume, I think at this point in the draft, it works.
Yep. And not far off. I mean, the projections have Tanner Bybee a $17 player and Mackenzie Gore as a $14 player. So
yeah, it's fine.
Similar at this point. Blake Snell goes, then Aaron Nola. Nola, by the way, even year Aaron Nola looked pretty good. That WBC matchup against Mexico, just saying.
Anybody on Italy has been looking stellar, by the way.
Yes. It's all the espresso, Ariel.
Speaking of which.
Yeah, did you guys see that? In their dugout, they've got like one of those machines, right?
Yeah, every time you hit a home run, you get an espresso shot. So
speaking of Team Italy, I was thinking I was just going to go pitcher here on a big pitcher run for the next several rounds. I know exactly
where you're going.
Somebody in the chat, I don't know if that means I'm cheating right now, taking hints from the chat. Jack Caglione.
Love it.
If he gives us the big breakout, the strikeout rate is going to be pretty solid for a player who delivers the kind of power he does. And I've kind of gone weak in the outfield. I already filled out a starting outfield with George Springer, Dalen Lyle, and Sal Frelick, but that's not the safest or most secure outfield. So I don't mind sticking one hitter on my bench there in Jack Caglione with that kind of upside.
Yep. Shoot for that upside for sure. Love that pick there with Caglione, who is playing for Team Italy in the WBC the guy is built like a professional wrestler. He is just insane, man. He is so jacked up, man. If he keeps those strikeouts down and just makes contact, he's gonna hit a ton of home runs this year. So very excited about Cags. After he went, we got Michael Busch, Caleb Durbin, who ranks pretty highly with the lack of strikeouts there. I like his bat in Fenway as well. Edward Cabrera moving over to the Chicago Cubs. Don't love him throwing that four-seam fastball as much like he's been doing in spring, but great defense behind him with the Cubs there. Jacob Marcy, who should get on base and steal a ton of bags, but only 1 point per steal here. Trey Savage. Scott, do you think this is the appropriate time? Is this enough of a fall to take the plunge on Trey Savage?
I mean, he was high in my queue. You're taking him at this point, not being sure if he's going to be an immediate contributor for you. And that is a much harder sell than when we just thought he was a fixture in the Blue Jays line rotation, treated like any other starting pitcher, 5-6 innings, most starts. I think, eventually he's going to be that this year, but how long it takes for him to get there is anybody's guess with the kind of clues the Blue Jays are dropping right now. So it's fine to take him here, but I wouldn't take him much earlier than here. This is about 160, right? I think it went even a little later in our first draft of the day.
Yep. At the turn, we got two more reliever picks here, Carlos Estevez and Josh Hader. Josh Hader will start the season on the IL. He's dealing with that biceps injury. Then we got Matthew Boyd, who has been named the opening day starter for the Cubs. He actually left the WBC. He is going back to rejoin the Cubs now.
Stretch him out.
Yep. And then Jack Flaherty and Matt Chapman.
Good value for Chapman at this point.
Yep. That's a good snag right there. Ernie Clement.
Yeah, that guy doesn't strike out much. I'll give him
barely
that.
strikes out. Yeah.
I just took early Clement in TGFBI earlier today. I mean, he's got tremendous eligibility. And by the way, in this format, I think he's got first, second, third, and short in the entire infield.
Yeah.
Yep.
Though, I mean, this as shallow as this league is, which, we're going to be done about like 220 picks. I don't worry because the waiver wire is so abundant. I don't worry so much about the multi-eligibility. Obviously, TGFBI, 15 teams, deep roto rosters, different story.
Yep. After Ernie Clement, Xavier Edwards makes a lot of contact, lots of steals. And Scott, that was the other pitcher I was debating when I took Mackenzie Gore. Tatsuya Imai, who came over from Japan, and he's looked pretty good this spring, Scott. He's hitting 99 with the fastball. That slider's looking good.
Yeah, I feel like it went underreported that he was the hardest throwing pitcher in Japan last year, at least starting pitcher. Maybe pitcher overall. Now, I'm not even sure what the report is, apparently, so maybe that's why it's underreported. But he threw very hard, and I don't think that was being talked about enough. There are other things to like there, too. Of course, the splitter and the reverse breaking slider. Just there's power, and there's a unique quality to his arsenal that I think is going to help a lot, particularly as he's first making the rounds in the league. So I think Amaya is going to be a big strikeout source and hopefully can keep the walks at a minimum.
All right. After Tatsuya Imai, my guy, Sal Stewart. Will I get him in a draft today? My last chance is the team that we are sharing together, Scott. So I hope we can get Sal Stewart a little bit later on tonight.
I mean, these are just mocks. That one actually counts. So that's the one where you want to get him.
That is true.
This one we can act like idiots if we want. What's the worst that could happen? Lose our credibility. People stop watching.
Yeah.
That's not a big deal.
No big deal. After
NBD.
Sal Stewart, we got Bubba Chandler, and Ariel, you selected Drew Rasmussen, someone who might not give you a huge volume of innings. It's probably, around 5 innings per start, but when he pitches, he's usually really good.
He's super. So, it's head-to-head points. So if he's in this week, he's going to be good. If he's out at this point in the draft, these are my end game pitchers. So I want upside guys and guys who are good on a per start basis.
Mm-hmm. After you took Rasmussen, I took Alec Boehm, even though the hope here is, I would just put Bo Bichette in the third base spot. But even to get Boehm at this point, someone who doesn't strike out all that much, he's going to bat in the middle of the lineup there for the Phillies. I think it makes sense to go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Dylan Cruz and JJ Weatherholt.
Yeah, Weatherholt's a good pick.
Which, just for reminder,
does ESPN have him multi-eligible right away? I know Yahoo does. We have him just at shortstop at CBS, but he's expected to play second. So he'll get that soon enough in CBS.
I don't really need a shortstop, but man, if I want to shoot for the upside, let's have a little fun, Scott. Let's do it. You see, one of the prospects goes, "It's time for Connor Griffin."
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he's going to walk much.
Yep.
And obviously, steals are a big part of his thing. So I think straight up, I would prefer JJ Weatherholt in this format.
Yeah, that's fair.
You got a
And
rookie run. Weatherholt and Griffin back to back.
And Kevin
Yeah.
McGonigal is one that could make a lot of sense. In
Yeah.
like this too, so.
Well,
sorry.
I'll let you have. I've got my shortstop. I'm just gonna fill out my team. Best outfielder in this format I have available off the board is Jung-Hoo Lee. Again, nothing exciting, nothing special. He's my last outfielder, but should have a good batting average, good for the strikeouts.
Sorry, Scott.
That's okay. Somebody just took Kevin McGonigal.
That's what you did earlier.
Oh,
You mentioned Sal Stewart, and then he went one
Boom,
pick
boom,
before me
boom.
in that other draft. So
Yeah.
like that.
That's fine. I already have one bench hitter in Jack Caglione, and I don't really like to stash a bunch of hitters in this league. I want a pitcher surplus for playing matchups and just, I tend to go cheap at pitcher, so I want to give myself as many bites at the breakout apple as I can. And so along those lines,
I like that Musgrove pick though. It's good.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
he was next on my queue, so now I got to
Good
scramble.
upside there, yep.
I'm actually going to take Jeff Hoffman though, because I think he's going to be a stud closer this year. Did not lose the strikeout ability last year, and as I said earlier in the earlier draft we were doing, I think he's got a good plan for getting the home run rate back to normal. He's going to emphasize that slider more like he was in Philadelphia.
All right. After you selected Jeff Hoffman, we got Carlos Rodon. There are a couple IL spots in this league, so it makes sense to grab some of those IL stashes. And Merrill Kelly goes. Mike Trout at in pick 9 of round 15. Much later than we're used to seeing him go, but struck out a lot last year. See if he can get that back under control. Spencer Torkelson, good bet for 30 home runs. All right. We are closing in. This is a faster draft, not as deep into the player pool, which is all right by me.
Yeah, well, only 19 rounds. The next one's at 8, right?
Yep.
We got some time to kill.
We're making some good time. You know what? We'll just hang out with Ariel, have a good time. We'll kick back. We'll recap
Sounds
our
good.
teams.
We still have 4 rounds left. It's not.
Yeah.
That could take 15 minutes.
Yep. We got Ryan Nelson and then Robbie Ray.
Robbie Ray's good pick right there.
Yeah.
Lots of strikeouts.
It was.
Yep.
So I had Hoffman, I had Carlos Rodon, and I had Robbie Ray queued up. And for some reason, I thought Hoffman was the
What's the deal with Merrill Kelly? I keep passing him up in my drafts because I don't know, injury scares me. Any inclination on him?
Well, it's just
It's like mid-back tightness.
Yeah,
It's
it was
supposed to
back
make
tightness.
His debut tomorrow. His Cactus League debut tomorrow. So
which
I think he's all right, but he's older. I mean, it's something that
right.
Right.
I prefer that injury to something arm related.
Right.
But it is the sort of thing that could recur pretty easily.
Yeah.
But as of now, he seems to be on track. He's just the only reason he's going to start on the IL is because he's behind in his buildup.
Right.
So I feel pretty comfortable taking Merrill Kelly. I don't know that this is my preferred format for him, but in general, I'm not scared off by Merrill Kelly. If I get him for any sort of injury discount, I'm jumping on it.
Yeah, I like him quite a bit too, where he's going. He's usually just rock solid, man. Boring pitcher, but good ratios, 8K per 9, something like that. I usually like winding up with Merrill Kelly. He's better in a points league too, where you get bonuses for quality starts. That's not in this league, but in CBS, someone who does go typically pretty deep into his starts there is Merrill Kelly.
Yeah.
After Robbie Ray, we saw Emilio Pagan go, Shane O'Mac, Shane McClanahan, and nope, I took that one off the soundboard, so I can't play it again.
Here comes the money.
Here we go.
Here comes the money.
Elliot Ramos and Shane Baz. I was thinking about Shane Baz, but -2 per earned run. He does have some blow up starts in there.
I'm going to go ahead and take Jorge Polanco here. Everybody has a second baseman but me.
That's a good pick.
But from what I'm seeing, he's the last second baseman worth starting. And that includes Matt McClain.
And he'll gain first base eligibility at some point in the year.
When it hurt, yeah. Matt McClain has both of the years he's played, he's run a strikeout rate near 30%. So even if he gets back to being, well, I mean, if he gets back to being as good as 2023, he could probably live with that strikeout rate, but he's got to get all the way back there, I think, to be of much use in this format.
Mm-hmm. Garrett Cole, someone I was looking at there, stash him on the IL.
Yeah, I keep foregoing those starting pitchers, and other people are drafting them. So, I don't know why.
Yeah, the starting pitcher pool is not looking so great.
No, it's not. And I went cheap there. So,
yep,
I'm a knucklehead.
Might have to just go and grab a bunch of relievers now at this point.
Yeah, well, those aren't so great either.
Yep, Gabriel Moreno goes, and Ariel, you are backup.
All right. Well, I definitely need a pitcher. I have not drafted a single closer, but I think it's a good spot for the Cubs closer, Palencia.
Cute him
Oh,
up.
come on.
That's the last one I thought was worth drafting at all.
You don't got to go and do all that.
There may be one other who's worth drafting.
Yeah, look, I don't ever draft this guy, but I'm pretty sure he's the closer, and hopefully he bounces back. So I'm going to take Ryan Helsley.
That was the one.
That was the other one.
Here we go. We're into the closer pool.
Because if you get into the part-time closers in this league, like there's just, you need them to get those 5 points per save. They're going to pitch so few innings, have so few strikeouts relative to starting pitchers. Again, since it's unusual for a head-to-head league.
Good spot here for Hunter Green here, who, again, we don't know what the story is, but, you pick him, stash him on your IL, and then, and especially if it's a playoff league, right? If he's back for playoffs, you now have a top pitcher right in the midst of the playoff.
Yep. I think that is a completely fair point there on Hunter Green.
What I wanted to stress was just pitcher spots. So your relievers and starting pitchers competing on equal footing in a points league. It's
right.
You got to be a great closer to compete with the starters.
Right? Yeah.
Full-time closer.
Well, I see a few full-time closers, I think, that are left. So,
do you?
Yeah, I mean, I hope this guy is one of them. I mean, they could mix in a couple other Tigers, but I think Kenley Jansen is just the guy. So
yeah, so that's excellent, because now you've got the three closers or so, and you put them all in, and somebody will hit on the week for the save. And Jansen actually is very interesting, and he'll last at least half a year, unless he really stinks, because he wants to get that save total up.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. How important are strikeouts from a closer in this format, though? Because he was less than a strikeout per inning. And I'm also looking at Pete Fairbanks. I think he was less than a strikeout per inning last year too.
It's 1 point per strikeout. So
right.
For all pitchers. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It seems.
Right.
But I'm saying how much impact does that have?
Slight, not much. You're there for you're drafting a closer in this format. You're there for the saves.
Yeah, 5 points per save and only 2 for a win. So
okay,
one per strikeout. Yeah, I went with Jose Soriano. I think he's got some upside there. Got innings upside. Got strikeout upside. I think he can. I think he can push 170 strikeouts, very possibly.
Mm-hmm. He's always had nasty stuff, but man, we had I think he was on your podcast too, saying the same thing. Ariel, we had Nick Pollock on the other day, and just reminding everyone that the Angels defense behind Jose Soriano is just so bad. So that's why his whip usually runs so high. Yeah. After Soriano, we got another closer, Pete Fairbanks, maybe half a closer. We'll see if he's traded at the deadline. There was Alejandro Kirk, Cade Horton went to Scott, Willie Adames, TJ Friedel. He's going to make a lot of contact. Trevor McGill. We're not sure who the closer for the Brewers is right now.
We're not, but I do think it's going to be one or the other. So McGill, I would say 60% chance McGill is a great pick here.
Willie Adames, that's a great value pick at this stage in the draft. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Round 17, yeah.
A lot of strikeouts, but still.
A lot of strikeouts. Really.
Still, round 17, it's past your active round, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking to the -1 strikeout league that I played in since I was in high school. And that's a 10-teamer versus a 12-teamer, but Willie Adames doesn't really stand out from anyone who's ever on the waiver wire because of how much he strikes out.
Mm-hmm. After we saw McGill went, then Brandon Lau, Dalton Varsho, Scott, your boy. Were you thinking about it?
Less so in this league.
Yeah.
Not a great plate discipline guy.
Christian Walker, who, he lasted pretty long here. Bounced back in the second half. The Astros playing time stuff is still kind of annoying to figure out, but hopefully life finds a way and we can get Isaac Paredes playing time there. Jeremy Pena dealing with that fractured finger to start the year.
Good
Paredes
spot for
is
Andy
gonna play.
Paez there.
Yep.
Andy Paez, yeah.
Yep. That's
Paredes is going to play. I'm telling you. I'm telling you right now. Isaac Paredes is going to play.
I love it. Scott, when did you become the Astros manager? I didn't hear about that. Congrats on your promotion.
It's not my call, obviously, but I'm just saying. I'm looking into my crystal ball. They need him. They need him more than we need him.
Did somebody say crystal ball? I'm holding up a crystal ball in case you're not looking.
The draft room noise when somebody takes somebody out of your queue kind of sounds like a crystal ball.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
After Christian Walker, there was Andy Paez, Cody Ponce. Good pick. I was thinking about Cody Ponce. Kyle Stowers, Teoscar Hernandez, Kodai Senga, Grayson Rodriguez. And Scott, you are back up. We've got 2 picks left.
I really don't like the state of pitching here. This scoring format doesn't support a league much deeper than this because it just ruins so many players. Somebody took Trevor McGill. I'll take the 40 to 45% shot on Abner Uribe being the closer instead.
Awesome stuff, man. I mean, if he is the closer, he could be an amazing closer. So
yeah,
we'll see. Andrew Painter is next up. Obviously, big prospect pedigree. Hasn't overwhelmed so far this spring. I think we were all expecting to see a little bit more. He hasn't given up any runs, really, but the strikeouts haven't been there for Painter so far. Small sample, but we'll see what he could do. Ariel, you are on deck. What are we thinking about here?
Definitely thinking pitcher because I got to fill out some of the bench, and you always want in a points league to have a little bit of a stash. So I can go for a little bit of upside, or I can go for some strikeout volume. You know what? I'm gonna go for some upside. I'm gonna go with Jack Leiter of Texas. Some upside there.
Light him up.
Like it. I am going to select an injury stash here that I'll throw on the IL, and hopefully he's back some point. Shane Bieber dealing with the forearm fatigue. I mean, he could give me nothing this year, but he was good down the stretch. He looked pretty good in the postseason. And, your second to last pick, I'll take a shot at this point, throw him on the IL. And then my last pick, Scott, someone that we both like quite a bit.
Really?
Gonna shoot for the upside. Let's see if I can find his name again. And I can't. So let's see.
And is he already taken?
Hopefully not. That would stink if he was. No, it's Mike Burrows. Mike Burrows.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
Okay. I kind of lost track crossing players off my rankings here. So I've just been leaning on the draft room.
Ariel, we are back to you for your final pick.
Yeah. Well, I've got the question is, do we want upside or do we want some depth and volume? It's a points league. You're going to trade in pitchers. I think I might go another pitcher. Gets a lot of strikeouts. I'm going to go with Yusei Kikuchi. A little bit of bounce back maybe, but a lot of strikeouts nonetheless. And, again, he's variable. So as my last pitcher, he'll have good weeks and bad weeks. Get him in and he'll have some upside for a good week possible.
All right. Yusei Kikuchi, Jose Soriano, your resident Angels fan here, Ariel Cohen. The Angels pitchers. How about that?
Oh, yeah, a pair of Angels to end the draft.
Angels in the outfield. Angels on Ariel Cohen's team.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. Well, I'm a pick away, 2 picks away.
Yes,
I'm looking at my options here. So some players who it appears aren't going to be drafted, they could still be taken in the last handful of picks here, but appears they're not going to be drafted, even though they almost always are. Samuel Basayo, Noelvi Marte, Dansby Swanson, Trevor Story. It makes sense. Terrible plate discipline and a lot of value from steals. Let's see, the last 2 picks, Noah Cameron, Mick Abel. So we're going for some real deep cuts here at starting pitcher.
Yeah.
For a league of this size. And I don't want to do that. If I did, I would take Jacob Lopez, who I think has good strikeout upside. But instead, what I'm going to do here, I think to really embrace the scoring format a little more, somebody who I think should be drafted, Max Muncy, I think needs to be drafted. So I'm going to take him. And if an injury opens up a spot at utility or third base, I'm covered. Maybe I could use him as trade bait later at a very weak position like that.
Yep.
But he
The
excels in this
Dodgers,
format.
the Dodgers Max Muncy. There is an Athletics Max Muncy.
Yeah, the Dodgers. Yes, definitely not the Athletics.
Yep. After Muncy, Samuel Basayo, Parker Messick. Parker Messick, nice pick there.
Luis Robert, someone who hasn't been drafted yet either.
Yep. Lots of strikeouts there. Ariel, what are you expecting from Luis Robert? I know he just made his Mets spring training debut today.
I mean, I'm certainly hoping that he can repeat what he did in the second half, but I think 2030 is a very, very good possibility for him this year.
That would be nice. Yeah, nice little contract year here for Luis Robert. And then Brady Singer, Chandler Simpson, who will make a lot of contact, but being devalued with those steals, only 1 point. That's basically all of his value. Your draft is complete. Frank's fantastic team. Let's hope that it's a fantastic team. Last pick was Jonathan Arana. I think that one's pretty good too. So nice, nice pick there. All right, we've got about 15 minutes before our next draft here. We can take some time to recap the teams. Ariel, we'll take a look at yours, and you were drafting third in this one. You got Adley Rutschman as your catcher, Vinny P.
Baby.
Vinny Pasquantino, Gleyber Torres, Michael Garcia, Jacob Wilson, Juan Soto, Yordan Alvarez, Jung-Hoo Lee, Luis Arraez. So we'll get to the pitching staff in just a second. How do you feel about the hitters here?
I like it. I mean, again, I focused a lot on not striking out. I focused on getting value lower down. I got my outfielders really solid earlier. And when there was plenty of middle infielders with good choices, I waited to the last one of the tiers. Here, Scott, we got the tier approach.
There you go.
Yep. And that got me, actually, it also got me Miguel Garcia, Jacob Wilson, and it got me Gleyber Torres. And then I filled in, with Arraez, who just such a value at the spot I got him as my utility, Jung-Hoo Lee at the very end. I feel very solid about this, actually.
On the pitching side of things, you wound up with Brian Wu, Joe Ryan, Kevin Gausman, Spencer Strider, Tanner Bybee, Drew Rasmussen, and Daniel Palencia on the bench, Jose Soriano, Jack Leiter, and Yusei Kikuchi. So you went with the strategy of mostly starting pitchers, only one closer in there with Daniel Palencia.
Yeah, again, as I said before, if you're going to do closers in this format, it's better to clump them and do 3 closers so you can play them. So the only one I got was Palencia, who I just thought was a great value at the point. But I went for volume. I went for strikeouts. I made sure to get an anchor. I made sure to get a lot of volume pitchers in the middle. I probably didn't take any deep cuts at the very end. Not much upside, but I still saw 160, 170 strikeout guys, and so I grabbed them even if they weren't, some rookie or a prospect or anything.
All right, let's take a look at Scott's team. Scott was drafting 6th in this one. Again, this is the standard head-to-head points format over on ESPN. And, there you are. White Whale. I was trying to find your team. Guys, like, what is his name? Your hitters, you've got Cal Raleigh, Josh Naylor, go Mariners, Jorge Polanco, Jose Ramirez, Francisco Lindor, George Springer, Dalen Lyles, Sal Frelick, and Yandy Diaz. What do we think?
I like it. I mean, I was trying to avoid high strikeout guys too. I think I successfully did that with the notable exception of Cal Raleigh, but I mean, he's obviously in a different category from every other catcher. And I think that's important in a league with so few hitter spots to distinguish yourself. So even though I felt like I was flying by the seat of my pants there, and there were a couple of moments where I was like, oh, I didn't know that guy was still available. I should have taken him instead. I'm pretty happy with this. I could definitely go to work with this lineup.
On the pitching side, you've got Freddie Peralta, Yuri Perez, Andres Munoz, Brandon Woodruff, Tatsuya Imai, Jeff Hoffman, and Cade Horton. You also have on the bench Jack Caglione, Abner Uribe, and Max Muncy. Again, in this format on ESPN, it's just 7 pitcher spots, so you can divide those up however you want. And you wound up with 5 starters and 2 relievers here in your lineup.
Yeah, maybe a third reliever if Abner Uribe ends up being the Brewers closer.
Yep.
And I wish I had more bench pitchers, but it just I think I may have underestimated how hard everyone else would go after starting pitchers, and I do like the upside of Caglione if one of those outfielders, Dalen Lyle, Sal Frelick, doesn't work out or anybody gets injured. And then I got Max Muncy there, kind of the same reason. I think he's a worthy starter in this format who just happened to make it all the way till the end of the draft, so I went ahead and took him. Wish I had a little more pitching depth, but I don't know, comparing my pitching staff to Ariel's, do you feel like mine is significantly worse than yours? I know I didn't invest quite as heavily in it.
I like the front of it better. Maybe I like the bottom of yours a little bit better. I like mine better than yours, but no, I don't think it's crazy. And you do have those closers who get you a nice expected total of saves during the week. So you basically have to get some of the good starts from the bottom to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't hate it. Obviously, going to have to keep feeding the pitching beast all season, but that's true in any head-to-head league, I feel like.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we will wrap up here taking a look at my team. I was drafting second in this one. I've got Drake Baldwin, Pete Alonso, Brendan Donovan, Alec Boehm, Gunnar Henderson, Aaron Judge, Wyatt Langford, Alec Burleson, and Bo Bichette. The hope was that Bo Bichette would slide over to third, but got Alec Boehm at a good value. So just happy to have Bo Bichette there as my utility. And yeah, for the most part, I think I mostly avoided strikeouts. I mean, there are some guys here like Judge, Langford, Alonso could be up around that 25% K range, but they will give lots of power. I think lots of speed with Wyatt Langford as well. Pete Alonso, obviously lots of power there as well. So I think I'm all right with it feels so weird compared to the hitter lineup that you normally have. But again, you gotta change to the format that you're playing in. On the pitching side, I've got Chris Sale, Dylan Cease, Yohan Duran, Emmett Sheehan, Mackenzie Gore, Ryan Helsley, and Kenley Jansen. So I did go with the 4 starters, 3 relievers strategy. Ariel, how do you think this turned out? Do you think it could work? Sale, Cease, Duran, Sheehan, Gore, Ryan Helsley, and Kenley Jansen as the pitchers.
Yeah, I mean, Sale is your anchor. I think that was important to get. And C says the strikeouts. I mean, we're talking 200 strikeouts in like 4 straight years or so. Sheehan, I think, is someone who's really going to progress, and I hope the Dodgers let him go. And then you got the closer strategy. So absolutely workable here. And, even your bottom picks, to have your bottom picks be full-time closers, again, a save is there's no bad save or good save. You're getting 5 points. So there you go.
All right. And then on the bench, I got Connor Griffin, just hoping for some prospect upside there. Shane Bieber, throw him on the IL. And then Mike Burrows, someone I like as a breakout pitcher this season. All right. That was our head-to-head points mock draft over on ESPN. Ariel, shout out to you. Big